What's doing, legends? Back into it after a few days away. Obviously, the podcast and the video scene has been a bit quiet over the last few days. My apologies, but back into it and a little bit to discuss. I just thought before we get to our weekly show, I'd jump on and just have a discussion about an interesting couple of teams I thought over the weekend. Now that things have cooled down a little bit, time to think about things. Their fans have had time to calm down. More so to ask some questions more than anything. And I'm talking about the Gold Coast Titans and the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, who I thought for round one looked very underdone. Didn't look like first grade standing, if I'm being honest. It was a very disappointing display from both teams. Now, there's probably a different way to look at it for each side. I want to focus on the Canterbury Bulldogs first. And the reason why I say it is a very disappointing performance. Now, a lot of people might say, and I know people like Gordon Taylor said it, they didn't look as bad as he thought, and it was something to be quite positive about. I call bullshit. I've got to say it. I think that's a bit of a cop out. Now, the reason why I think it's a cop out, when I look at things, I'll go back to the Dean Pay era, and he got sacked because the Bulldogs weren't putting in the results. But for mine, they were playing a much better brand of football than they currently are. And this is years later now. The roster has improved immensely, and they're producing the football that we saw on the weekend. The Bulldogs haven't been able to attack now for at least 2 years, maybe three. Nothing has changed. They've brought in apparently people and players that are supposed to fix that. If we're going off round one so far, that one performance and then in the trials, I don't think it has been fixed yet. I think they're still playing players out of position for what they should be playing here at the Bulldogs. Look, they go on about, and I feel sorry for Bulldogs fans because I'm not going in on the Bulldogs as such. I'm going on decisions that I feel like the club are making as a whole, and some of the stuff that's getting spun to us. I'm just not buying. Like we hear about the Bulldogs buying all these players from successful clubs. Great tactic, love it. The only real player of real benefit to that, who played a vital role in that success, was Stephen Crichton. Now, you've stuck Stephen Crichton in a centre position when he originally signed for, and it was all reported, to be a fullback there and to play fullback. And it never ended up translating. There is all this obsession about Stephen Crichton is such a good defensive centre. That's what they need, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not. The Bulldogs need attack. It's all well and good to defend, but honestly, teams would be able to beat the Bulldogs 10 to 8-0 or something like that. Bulldogs cannot score tries at the moment. They scored two on the weekend against the Eels, who I think let the foot off the gas immensely in that little period. And they were disappointed about that. They wanted to hold them to zero. But Stephen Crichton is their main focal point in attack. You need to get him getting the ball as much as possible. I think he touched the ball 6 times in that game. That's not good enough at all. I don't even care about the money he's getting paid. I care about the fact that he's your strike player. He's the guy that needs his hands on the football, and you're not giving him the ball. Play him fullback. I don't care that Blake Taaffe is there. Blake Taaffe is not the quality of player that Stephen Crichton is. Let's get that done for now. Let's get that out there and put that out there that, sorry, but does not compete with Stephen Crichton. Whether he is the best defensive center in the game or not, whatever you believe, I believe right up there, definitely for sure. And I think he's probably the best center in the competition and has runs on the board to validate that. But the Bulldogs don't need 2 strike centers. And what I'm going to get to, you'll understand what I'm trying to say from that. They can't afford it because they don't have the halves or the middle producing the meters to then get the halves to give you the ball to work off that. They're just going to get bashed week in, week out with this current 4-pack and the state it is in. So the Bulldogs need to find something to do where Stephen Crichton's coming in, trying to fix that up a bit, getting his hands on the ball, looking dangerous around the middle of the park, and getting the opposition forwards in 2 minds about what's actually going to happen. Because I'm guaranteeing you, if you have him up against some of these tired forwards around the 25-minute mark or so in a game, they will cause some damage there. They will start generating some momentum in through the ruck, putting opposition in 2 minds, and they'll start getting some success off that. They'll start looking far more dangerous. At the moment, they're trying to compete with teams with the traditional go up, bash, barge, The Bulldogs cannot play that style of football at the moment. They do not have the forward pack to back that up. They're just going to continue to get bashed like they did on the weekend against the Parramatta pack that was massive and immense on the day. Now, I mentioned that to move Stephen Crichton over to centre. The other thing I want to say is Jacob Carraz is one of the most underrated wingers in the competition. The work he can get through and do, I'll be putting him back to wing ASAP. He's a winger. He's not a centre. Connor Tracy for mine, and this is where there's a bit of talking points around the fact, and everyone who follows us on the page, myself basically, I've been a huge advocate for this for almost 2 years now. Matt Burton is arguably for mine, if he gets to put a consistent run of football in, he can be one of the best centers in the game. I would be putting him at center, not putting him with the pressure of being in the halves and trying to generate. He can't generate the play. He's not that type of player, and that's fair enough. There's some players that don't have it. They can generate their own sort of magic on the edge. That's what Matt Burton can do. He can run tremendous holes. He can put his winger away on into gaps, into holes, and he can put our position edges in two minds. Look, we all know the Burton bomb is fantastic. He can still produce that in centre. He can come in field here and there and produce the Burton bomb. Do not overdo it. Or what I seen on the weekend, it was overdone. Gutho was catching every single thing. He would have caught a bloody cold in the Sahara Desert. That's how good he was going. But it's going to get overdone. You can't keep that's all they've got, the Bulldogs at the moment. The Burton bomb. Last tackle, Burton bomb. Go up and hopefully we produce an error. But fullbacks like Gutho, they'll know what's coming. They'll practice it all week, catching them. There'll be more and more fullbacks these days that won't drop one. And then that's put them in that game plan into cold water. And that's it. So I'd be putting him at centre, Matt Burton. That then talks about what happens in the halves. Now, Blake Taaffe then comes into things because for those who have followed Blake Taaffe's career, knows that he has spent a bit of time in the halves back in his junior footy days and stuff. He was a 5'8", and it was really, really good. He actually produced some pretty good moments there at 5'8", and I've always been a fan of getting him into that position in first grade football and seeing how he can handle it and giving him some sort of set time with that. I'll be putting Blake Taaffe in at the sixth position and seeing what he can produce. Obviously, defensively, he will be targeted, so you probably need to pair him up with someone like Preston or maybe Curran, depending on the time of the game. That means you probably have to put Curran on the edge for a period of time and maybe swap him and Preston. Just depends on what's happening, but that's the way I would go. And then I'd pair Sexton up with him. Now, Hutchinson, he may have trained the house down on in the off-season. That's fair enough. He's come from a Roosters system. He was the Mr. Fix-It man. That's all well and good. He can continue to be that role. I just don't think he's a starting halfback. I don't think he's produced enough in actual game mode so far in the trials in round one to warrant the automatic selection there and to continue to pursue with this. That's the real pressure now with Serraldo. The last sort of guy I want to talk about, and my mind boggles me with this. And if you caught our Sunday show, you sort of know where I'm going at with this. Jamin Salmon is a good player. There's no doubt about that. He's a good player. He's come from a Penrith system. Was he instrumental in winning the comp? No, he wasn't. He was a player. He was a sort of a squad player. Did his role when was required, but there's no doubt in my mind he was not one of those crucial members that got Penrith one or two of those premierships. There's no way in the world. He has got the experience there. He's played with a couple of successful clubs now. Went from Parramatta, went to Penrith. So he's been around knowing what it takes to play consistent finals football. So that's great. He is not a starting lock forward in any team in the competition. I'm talking the West Tigers. I'm talking the Dragons of last year. The Titans, heaven forbid. He's not a starting lock. They have brought Curran over there. They brought Josh Curran there to play lock position. Now, I don't care what's happening with their forward pack or not. He's one of those players, you literally just put him down in the third team jersey, Josh Curran, and then you pick the rest of the team around him because he can be that good and can help that team massively. He can just play consistently 80 minutes, and that evades one of your problems there. If you have to, put James Salmon on the bench, and if it does open up the game a little bit and you want to create a little bit of spark, give Josh Curran a 10, 15-minute break, put Salmon on there, and away you go. You got to be starting with Josh Curran, and going from there. There is no doubt in my mind that's the way it should be. as soon as I seen the team list last week, and obviously we're seeing the same one again this week, and it frustrates me for a Bulldogs fan point of view because I actually feel for them. I'm a Parramatta fan, so the rivalry's real there, but I feel for you, no doubt about it, because I think you deserve a lot better. The fan base is one of the most passionate fan bases in the competition. There's nothing better than hearing the drums and that going. He's seeing a blue and white packed stadium when the Bulldogs are firing. But they're going to quickly get over the shit fight that's becoming this club because of some decisions and some of the bullshit that they're getting sold by people in upper management making some of these key positions. Because as I said at the start of this video, they have not improved. It's been years now. And after round one this year, they were all excited, seeing what could happen if we got anything to go off by the trials in round one. Nothing has improved from the attack. The attack is still pure dog shit. Um, and I feel for him. Serrato's got some huge decisions to make. I don't think he can stay with this lineup for too much longer. I know he might put the argument out going, we can't drop players after round one. That's not the right thing to do. I'm sorry, but the Bulldogs aren't coming off, say, a successful season where they've got people to be loyal to. They've got a whole heap of signings as well who, to be honest, their mind frame should have been it's round one. Let's put my best foot forward and really show that I deserve to be in this jersey and be in this team to start round one. And I've got to say, pretty much majority of all their new signings did not put their best foot forward down on the week. And that has been a huge concern for Bulldogs fans for some time now. Players go there, get their big pay packet, never play their best footy, and off they go. So I feel for you. I do hope things change very, very quickly. As I say, he has to make some change. If this week's the same against the Sharkies, which is anticipated to be, you cannot validate having the same lineup again. It has to be changed. Swallow your pride, Serrato. Otherwise, you could quickly become the next coach on the chopping block, especially if, say, like Gus Gould, who was real big in getting him there, real instrumental, is dropped from the club or departs the club. He could be quickly following him out the door as well. Talk about the Gold Coast Titans as well, because they're another team for mine who it was so concerning on the weekend. I know, obviously, a couple of the creators and stuff as well who are massive Gold Coast Titans fan, like your BKRs, your Clarkies as well. Watched their video, their vlog as well. So disappointed to see those boys and some other guys out there, I know, mates and who are Titans fans, get so excited for this year and then to have it sort of squashed by a team that isn't highly rated at all. I know they've been playing some good football the last trial and then last weekend against the Gold Coast Titans. Flanagan's doing wonders for the Dragons. And I think the Titans can learn something from the Dragons there about playing tough, gritty football. Like, this is my concern with the Titans, and it was when they first announced Des Hasler is that pairing going to match up? Because I've got no doubt in my mind, Des Hasler is exactly what the Gold Coast Titans need. It's just about how long these Gold Coast Titans playing group will realize it and say, you know what, this is actually what we need. We can't be that team that just continually puts on 40 points against a team and we win the game 40 points to 28. We cannot keep being that club, because at the moment and after round one, that's how they wanted to play. They wanted the easy options out every time. As soon as the Dragons went there saying, we're in a dogfight here, we're going to win this game 6-0 if we have to, the Titans melted. The Titans absolutely melted and could not keep up with a single part of the game that the Dragons were producing up there. And at home, round one, when your fan base, it already does struggle a fair way to get the community behind. They're starting to get a lot better with it. But when you need that and you're producing that sort of display round one, that is horrible. You can't one more of those early on. And you've got to call a spade a spade. I really feel for the crowd numbers and the community for the Titans, because there's a lot of excitement up here. I'm a Gold Coast boy as well. I'll be definitely going out to a few of those games this year. But you've just got to sort of sit back at a stage and just think, not when's enough, because I think the Titans are here to stay, no doubt in my mind about it. But they've just got to click. There's got to be a time when that playing group, they've got so many stars there. Like, that forward pack on its day, and it should be on its day every week, is a top 5 forward pack in this competition. There is no doubt in my mind about it. I just don't understand how they can't put it continually on paper. Like, this is the thing I don't like about the weekend. And look, you can argue all you want about the fact that they had 3 of their top 5 players out in Fafita, Jaden Campbell and Foran. Massive players for that team, huge impact for him. But the thing for me is there was a number of players still in that lineup on the weekend that will be in first grade week in, week out, or want to be in first grade week in, week out. They've got pretty much jerseys cemented on early on with the quality of player that we know they can be. So even though you're playing a game without three of your star players, you should not be getting beat 28 points to 4 at home against a team that many predicted for the wooden spoon, or at best maybe a bottom 4 finish. That is totally unacceptable. And to basically just fold like they did in that second half, it was embarrassing. They hung tough in a way in the first half to be in where they were. They struggled just to get the ball over the line, so their attack still needs some time to work. And when you add those three players in, it definitely will help them. But there's just so many question marks. And look, Tana Boyd for mine, I don't think he's the answer at halfback. I know there's a lot of Titans fans that do like him and the style of play that he brings to the club. Personally, I'm a huge Tommy Weaver fan. I think he's the future of that club. I think his future is so bright. Same with Keanu Keeney at fullback, but it's just going to be interesting how he and JC can link up with AJ now moving into that center role, and did a decent job there, I thought, on the weekend. But Tommy Weaver for mine is the future there. I think he should be given the 7 jersey when Foran does make it back and get into things. And they've obviously got the bye this weekend, so we don't know what or if any changes Des Hasler will make for round 3 yet. That will be obviously next Tuesday. We'll see that, but it's some big calls to make because he was very, very disappointed, I think, Tana Boyd on the weekend. He didn't really put his foot into that game at all, didn't really take control. That was the games he needs to take control. When Foran's not there, when you're first starting number, our first choice fullback is not there, you need to be making sure you're guiding the team around at halfback. You can just dumb it down for everyone. You can literally just say, get me from point A to point B to point C on the field. With that forward pack, there's no doubt in my mind they'd be able to achieve that. And go out there with an aim in your mind. You're going to win this game 12 points to 0. That's your set marker there. We're going to win this game 12 points to 0, keep this team to 0, and away we go. It just, as soon as the Dragons put some back-to-back points on, their heads went down, and it just went back to the Titans of old, which is really concerning for mine. As I said, the Des Hasler partnership with the Titans, I feel like, is one that the Titans need more than Des Hasler needs. And I hope they quickly realize that the Titans playing group, how much Des Hasler can bring to them as a football club, how much steel he can bring into the defense, into that lineup, and that they need to start going in with the mind frame of winning games 16 points to 4 rather than 40 points to 18 or 40 points to 28. So let us know in the comments, guys, what you think about both teams, where things are at. Obviously only round 1, so there's a lot of things to go under the bridge from now until round 27 finals football. But where do you think both clubs are at? Where do you think some player changes should be? Players who you think have done their job well, maybe over the first week and trials, or players you think under pressure, etc. Let me know in the comments, and we'll be back for another episode later on tonight.